So could communities be the new sales funnel, especially Skool communities? Could they potentially replace your sales funnel platform or maybe even your website completely in general? We are seeing a shift potentially especially for online businesses towards this. Now, I say the new sales funnel, because a lot of high ticket marketers have been using just communities for a long time to gain and nurture clients directly. But it's definitely gone mainstream. And I think it actually makes complete sense, because we've had to use a lot of different tools for a very long time to make things work. And yes, a lot of platforms like ClickFunnels and Go High Level have started to become all-in-one tools, but they're massively complicated. And for the average person, we don't really care that much about all the bells and whistles in the beginning. Take, for example, my old setup, shall we say. We had the traffic part coming in here, which obviously is never going to change. I use YouTube for growing my Skool community and my business. Maybe you use ads, but whatever that is, we then would send them normally to some type of lead capture page. And this is where we would capture someone's email, normally for a lead magnet of some kind, some type of free giveaway. And then when they signed up, they would move across and they would go to our thank you page. And often this would be something we would call a tripwire funnel, where maybe you were trying to sell something on this particular page. But for the most part, we were then getting people's email and we were sending them email sequences, and that was then pushing them towards offers that we would have. And then potentially we'd have even more web pages, and maybe with countdown timers and other types of marketing techniques and things that we had to do to then try to get them to eventually buy. Now here we had to have the traffic, we needed to have a domain and a website or funnel builder. We then needed to link that to payment processors to be able to take money, so Stripe or PayPal or whatever you were going to use. You had to have that plugged into this to work. We then either had to have email within this platform as well, or a separate email platform to be able to capture and nurture and manage our email list. Deliverability of those emails started going down. I've got a Gmail account and I've never really sent any marketing material very much at all recently. And even messaging my parents, it was going into their spam mail. So deliverability, even sending it to family, apparently, it puts you into the spam folder these days. So that's a pain in the butt. And then you needed more websites, pages for the additional offers that you may send to this email list. And then often countdown timer things like deadline funnel and so on. So you can have multiple tools just to make all of this overly complex thing work. And as someone getting started, it's a lot of points where things can go wrong. It's a lot of technical stuff that you need to set up. And don't get me wrong, a lot of this stuff still works. It really does. But when you look at the Skool setup for most people, traffic, straight to Skool, and that's it. And then we nurture. And it just becomes the hub of your business. And that's where you basically get people in. This can it's good for your emails. You can send emails in it. You can do DMs. You can do messages and posts. So you can just do so many different things in here. And this basically also becomes your landing page. You can take payments inside, and Skool will manage all of the compliance with that. And this is also the other thing when it comes to your website. There's so many different compliance things in different countries now that you need to be very mindful of not getting any of this wrong, because if you get some of the compliance issues wrong, you can get sued these days. You can have a lot of different problems with potentially the government or restrictions. There's so many different rules that you need to follow. I know in Europe especially, but I think even America has its own issues now, especially around things like drop shipping. But there's a lot of issues around all of these compliancy things. And Skool just takes care of all of that. It also manages the risk for your payments. And they give you a low sort of 2.9%, I think, charge on your transactions. But you can manage everything in here. So you can also give away free things. It can be your course platform, because we forgot to mention that here. You would also then need your course platform for hosting your online courses so that you're actually going to sell people. Maybe you then even needed hosting videos. Inside the Skool setup, I can host the videos, I can host the courses, I can host my lead magnets, I can manage the emails and contacts, I can DM them, I can do everything inside, and I can nurture people. I can literally nurture people, which makes it much easier as a beginner, because all I have to worry about doing is making content and then nurturing people inside my Skool ecosystem. So I'm literally creating a hub for my business. And this is essentially what high ticket people used to do, as I said before. They used to have a free Facebook group. They would often send ads into this. They would then try to message and chat to people. Facebook killed it a bit because they brought in so many restrictions other than the algorithm. So many restrictions in terms of messaging people, direct messaging. You had to have permissions. ManyChat got better over time getting around these things, but it was problematic. But I do see people making ManyChat work in different ways. But basically, they would then try and get them on a sales call, and then they would charge them and send them to a premium Facebook group. And then inside that, they would do coaching calls and so on, and that would become the inner circle. So it's kind of a freemium model, basically free community to paid community. And that was it. This is what we've essentially got going on here. But the difference is there were so many restrictions around this that you couldn't send emails, obviously. You couldn't really send messages very easily. You couldn't do any of this stuff inside here. And you just don't have control with the algorithm and so on. But Skool has made all of these problems disappear. So now the Skool setup potentially for everybody is probably the best and easiest way moving forward, because you don't need to be a marketing expert. You don't need to buy many different things. You don't need to overcomplicate things. You don't need to worry about deliverability of emails and so on. Skool just handles it all. So you can just get back to doing what you're best at, and that's maybe speaking in your content and worrying about how to get people actually to the Skool community, and then just nurturing them inside, speaking to people like they're normal human beings, giving them value, finding out what they need, what their problems are, what you can create for them, what you can help them with, and then finding different ways to monetize that audience. So it really is just about building your community both inside of Skool and outside of Skool with platforms like YouTube. So it becomes one great big sort of content creation and nurturing system with the YouTube setup. So I really think Skool communities are definitely going to replace funnels for many, and I think potentially replace websites for many people, because I am now pretty much most of the time going straight from YouTube to my Skool community. Now, with that said, if you would like more free training on growing and creating your Skool community and then building it out with YouTube, then I will put a link to our free community in the video description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.